The soft afternoon light filtered through the tall, arched windows of Café Luna, casting a golden hue over the polished wooden floors and mismatched vintage tables. It was September 28, 2025, a crisp autumn day in the bustling city of Portland, Oregon, where the leaves were just beginning to turn shades of amber and red. Café Luna, nestled in the heart of the historic Pearl District, was a popular spot for locals, known for its artisanal coffees, flaky pastries, and cozy atmosphere that blended industrial chic with warm, inviting decor.
He said he was looking forward to
Exposed brick
meeting
walls were adorned with local artwork, and the air carried the comforting scent of fresh vanilla lattes and cinnamon rolls baking in the back. At a corner table tucked away from the main bustle, 28-year-old Emma Sullivan sat nervously, adjusting her simple white blouse for the third time in 5 minutes. The blouse was one of her few nice pieces, bought on clearance during a rare shopping trip the previous year. It hugged her slender frame modestly, paired with dark jeans and comfortable flats, practical attire for a woman who spent most of her days chasing after an energetic 4-year-old while juggling 2 jobs. Emma's blonde hair fell in gentle waves around her shoulders, framing a face with soft features, kind hazel eyes that often betrayed her worries, a small nose and lips that curved naturally into a smile, though today they were pressed into a thin line of anxiety. She had chosen this corner table deliberately, hoping it would afford her and her son, Tyler, some privacy during what was already shaping up to be the most awkward first date of her life. Tyler sat beside her on a booster seat, kicking his small legs idly under the table. He was dressed in his favorite denim overalls, the ones with the red truck patch on the front that he insisted on wearing at least 3 times a week. His light brown hair, inherited from his father, still showed traces of the stubborn cowlick that refused to be tamed, no matter how much Emma had tried to smooth it down with water and a comb that morning. Tyler's round face was the picture of innocence, big brown eyes full of curiosity, chubby cheeks that dimpled when he smiled, and a button nose that wrinkled when he concentrated. Front of him lay a small box of crayons and a stack of paper that Emma always carried in her oversized purse for exactly these situations when she needed him to be quietly occupied. The crayons were a mix of bright colors, some worn down to nubs from countless drawings of trucks, animals, and imaginary families. Tyler was already scribbling away, his tongue poking out slightly in concentration, creating a masterpiece that only he could fully explain. Emma checked her phone again, the screen lighting up with the time 2:58 p.m. Her stomach churned with a mixture of anxiety and regret, a familiar knot that had become her constant companion since becoming a single mother. She shouldn't have agreed to this blind date. Her best friend Sarah had been so insistent, so convinced that Alex from her office would be perfect for Emma. Sarah, a bubbly marketing executive in her early 30s, had met Alex at work and raved about his intelligence, kindness, and success. "He's stable, Emma. Something you deserve after everything with Jason," Sarah had said over coffee the week before. But Emma knew better. Most men weren't interested in dating a single mother who worked 2 jobs, a barista shift at a local coffee chain in the mornings and waitressing at a diner in the evenings, just to make ends meet. Rent for their tiny 1-bedroom apartment was skyrocketing, daycare costs were a constant drain, and groceries seemed to cost more every week. When her babysitter, Mrs. Rodriguez, a reliable neighbor in her 60s, had called in sick that morning with the flu, Emma had faced an impossible choice. Cancel the date and disappoint Sarah yet again, or bring Tyler along and hope that somehow this wouldn't be a complete disaster. Sarah had set up 3 blind dates for Emma in the past year, and each had ended in polite rejection or ghosting once Tyler was mentioned. Emma had chosen the latter option, texting Alex a quick apology in advance, but he had replied graciously, "No problem at all. See you soon." Still, doubt gnawed at her. What if he was just being polite? What if he saw Tyler and bolted? Tyler's father, Jason, had left when Tyler was barely 2 years old. Jason, an aspiring artist with dreams bigger than his commitment, had decided that fatherhood cramped his style. "I can't do this, Emma. I need space to create," he'd said one night, packing his bags while Tyler slept in the next room. Emma had begged him to stay, but he was gone by morning, leaving behind a trail of unpaid bills and shattered promises. Since then, Emma had built her life around Tyler, pouring all her love and energy into him. But loneliness crept in during quiet moments, like late nights after shifts when she'd scroll through dating apps only to delete them in frustration. Now, as the cafe's door chimed at exactly 3, Emma's heart raced. A man in an impeccably tailored navy suit entered, looking around with the confident bearing of someone accustomed to being in control of situations. Alexander Hayes was 34 years old, tall and athletic from his weekend hikes in the Columbia River Gorge, with short dark hair neatly styled and sharp green eyes that scanned the room efficiently. He had spent the last decade building his consulting firm, Hayes Strategies, into one of the most successful in Portland, specializing in helping startups scale. Alex was used to boardrooms and business dinners, not coffee dates with mysterious setup partners. Sarah had described Emma as sweet, strong, and beautiful, but hadn't mentioned anything about a child. As he spotted her, blonde waves, kind eyes, quiet strength, he felt a spark of interest. But then his gaze landed on the small boy beside her, absorbed in his drawing, and his expression shifted from pleasant anticipation to visible confusion. Emma's heart sank. She stood up quickly, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment, the color rising like a tide across her fair skin. "Alex, I'm so sorry," she began, the words tumbling out in a rush, her voice barely above a whisper to avoid drawing attention from nearby patrons. "I know Sarah didn't mention Tyler. My babysitter got sick this morning and I couldn't find anyone else on such short notice. I completely understand if you want to leave. I should have called to cancel, but I didn't want to disappoint Sarah again. And I thought maybe we could just have a quick coffee, but I realized this is totally inappropriate for a first date. And I'm so sorry for wasting your time." Alex paused, his green eyes taking in the scene. Emma's genuine mortification was palpable, her hands twisted together, her hazel eyes downcast. Then he looked at Tyler, who had looked up from his drawing to study this new person with the frank curiosity that only children possess. Tyler's brown eyes were wide, his cowlick standing defiantly, a crayon clutched in his small fist. Instead of the polite excuse Emma was expecting, something like, "I have a meeting to get to," Alex smiled, a genuine curve of his lips that reached his eyes, softening his professional demeanor. He extended his hand to Tyler, bending slightly at the waist to meet the boy's level. "Hi there, I'm Alex. What's your name?" Tyler looked at his mother for permission, his eyes darting to Emma, who nodded subtly. Then he turned back to Alex, his voice confident despite his young age. "I'm Tyler. I'm 4 years old and I can write my name all by myself." "That's very impressive," Alex said, settling into the chair across from them without hesitation. His suit jacket creased slightly as he leaned forward, his tie a subtle pattern of blue stripes. "What are you drawing?" Tyler held up his paper proudly. It was a crayon drawing of 3 stick figures, standing in front of what looked like a house with a large yellow sun overhead and flowers scattered around the ground. The colors were vibrant, red for the house, green scribbles for grass, blue dots for the sky. "It's my family," Tyler explained, his dimples deepening. "That's me, and that's Mama, and that's my daddy." Emma felt her heart clench, a sharp pang that she tried to hide by smoothing her blouse again. Tyler's father, Jason, had been gone for over 2 years, but the boy's imagination filled in the gaps. Tyler had no real memories of him, just stories Emma shared sparingly, like how Jason loved to draw. But sometimes, like now, Tyler would create these idealized scenes, drawing a father figure who was tall, smiling, and present. "That's a beautiful family," Alex said gently, his voice steady and kind, without a trace of awkwardness. "And you're a very good artist." "Mama says I get that from my daddy," Tyler said matter-of-factly, his eyes bright. "He was an artist too, but he had to go away." Emma's eyes filled with tears that she quickly blinked away, her throat tightening. She hadn't expected Tyler to bring up Jason so soon. It was like ripping off a scab in front of a stranger. "Tyler, honey, why don't you draw Mr. Alex a picture while Mama talks to him?" "Okay," Tyler said enthusiastically, turning to a fresh piece of paper with renewed vigor, his crayons flying across the page. Emma looked at Alex, bracing for the inevitable shift. the polite but distant expression she had seen on other men's faces when Tyler's absent father came up in conversation. Instead, she saw something that looked like understanding, a quiet empathy in his green eyes that made her breath catch. "Emma," Alex said quietly, his voice low to keep the conversation private amid the cafe's soft hum of chatter and espresso machines. "You don't need to apologize for bringing Tyler, and you definitely don't need to apologize for his questions about his father." Emma's hazel eyes widened slightly, surprised by his directness. "Most people don't want to deal with the complications," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, her fingers tracing the edge of her coffee cup nervously. "Then they're missing out," Alex replied simply, leaning back in his chair with an easy confidence. He flagged down a waitress with a polite wave and ordered a black coffee for himself, then turned back to Emma. "Sarah told me a bit about you, your strength, your kindness. She didn't mention Tyler, but that's okay. Life's full of surprises, right?" Emma nodded, a small smile breaking through her anxiety. "Surprises like flu-stricken babysitters. I really am sorry. I know this isn't what you signed up for." Alex chuckled softly, a warm sound that eased the tension. "Honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect. Blind dates aren't my usual thing. Sarah practically blackmailed me into this with promises of her famous homemade cookies. But I'm glad I came." Over the next hour, something unexpected happened. Instead of the awkward, stilted conversation Emma had feared, they found themselves talking easily while Tyler worked on his art project. Alex asked thoughtful questions about Tyler's interests. "What's your favorite color, buddy?" "Red, because trucks are red," and complimented his drawings with genuine enthusiasm. "That dinosaur looks fierce. Did you know some dinosaurs had feathers?" Tyler giggled, his dimples flashing. "Like birds?" "That's silly." Emma watched in amazement as Alex seemed completely comfortable with Tyler's occasional interruptions. When Tyler asked if Alex liked trucks, Alex shared a story from his childhood about building model cars with his father, a mechanic who had passed away when Alex was in college. "He taught me that the best things in life are the ones you build yourself," Alex said, his eyes distant for a moment. Emma opened up too, sharing bits of her life. She talked about her morning job at Brew Haven, where she crafted lattes for rushed commuters, and her evening shifts at Dino's Diner, where the tips were decent but the hours exhausting. "It's not glamorous, but it keeps the lights on," she said with a shrug. Alex listened intently, his green eyes focused. "It sounds like you're doing an incredible job. Raising Tyler alone while working 2 jobs, that takes real strength." Emma blushed, unused to such praise. "I do what I have to. Tyler's my everything." As the conversation flowed, Tyler finished his drawing and held it up. "Mr. Alex, I drew you." The drawing showed a tall stick figure in what was clearly meant to be a suit, standing next to Tyler and Emma. Alex was depicted with a huge smile and what appeared to be a briefcase in one hand. The colors were bold, blue for the suit, yellow for the sun smiling overhead. "I love it," Alex said, accepting the drawing carefully, his face lighting up with a broad smile. "May I keep this?" Tyler beamed, his brown eyes sparkling. "Yes, Mama, can we get Mr. Alex some coffee? He looks thirsty." Emma started to protest that they shouldn't impose further, but Alex was already signaling the waitress. "Actually, Tyler, that's a great idea. What do you think your mama would like?" "She likes the coffee that smells like vanilla," Tyler said confidently. "And I like hot chocolate, but only if it's not too hot." As Alex ordered for all 3 of them, a vanilla latte for Emma, hot chocolate for Tyler, and another black coffee for himself, Emma found herself studying this man who had not only accepted Tyler's presence, but seemed to genuinely enjoy it. In her limited dating experience since Jason left, men either ignored Tyler entirely or made awkward attempts to win him over that felt forced and uncomfortable. Alex was different. He talked to Tyler like a real person, not a small adult or a cute accessory. When Tyler spilled a bit of his hot chocolate on the table, Alex handed him napkins without making a big deal about it, saying, "No worries. Buddy, it happens to the best of us." When Tyler wanted to show Alex how he could count to 20, Alex listened with patient attention, applauding at the end. That's amazing. You're smarter than I was at your age. Emma felt a warmth spread through her, a sense of relief mixed with something more. Hope, perhaps. Can I ask you something? She said during a moment when Tyler was focused on coloring a new page. Of course, Alex replied, sipping his coffee. You're really good with kids. Do you have children? Alex's expression grew more serious, his green eyes clouding slightly. No, I don't. But I have a younger sister who's 15 years younger than me. Lily. I helped raise her after our parents died in a car accident when she was Tyler's age. Emma felt her breath catch, her hand instinctively going to her mouth. I'm so sorry. That must have been incredibly hard. It was a long time ago, Alex said gently, though the pain was still evident in his voice. I was 19, just starting college. Suddenly, I was her guardian, paying bills, attending parent-teacher conferences, helping with homework. It derailed my plans for a while, but it taught me a lot about what children need. Patience, consistency, and the feeling that they're valued for who they are, not just tolerated. That's exactly right, Emma said, feeling a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the vanilla-scented coffee. For the first time, she saw Alex not just as a successful businessman, but as someone who understood loss and responsibility on a deep level. As the afternoon progressed, Emma found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't in months. The cafe's light shifted from golden to a softer amber as the sun dipped lower and the crowd thinned out, leaving them in their cozy corner. Tyler, fueled by hot chocolate and attention, chattered away about his preschool adventures, how he built the tallest block tower and shared his snacks with his friend Mia. Alex engaged fully, asking follow-up questions that showed he was truly listening. What color was the tower, Tyler? Did it have a flag on top? Red and blue like a rocket, Tyler exclaimed, his hands gesturing wildly. Emma laughed, a genuine sound that surprised her. It had been so long since she'd felt this light. He's obsessed with space right now. We read books about astronauts every night. Sounds fun, Alex said. Lily went through a dinosaur phase. We had fossils everywhere. The conversation turned to Emma's dreams. What about you? Alex asked. Sarah mentioned you're great at organizing events at the diner. Ever thought about doing that full-time? Emma hesitated, twisting her napkin. I used to dream about event planning, weddings, parties. But after Tyler, priorities changed. Maybe someday? Alex nodded thoughtfully. Someday could be sooner than you think. My firm hosts corporate events. We could use someone with your skills. Emma's eyes widened. Really? I mean, I'm just a waitress. You're more than that, Alex said firmly. Sarah says you're the one who keeps everything running at her office parties. Their talk was interrupted by Tyler's favorite trick, touching his nose with his tongue, which sent him into giggles when Alex tried and failed, exaggerating his attempts for effect. You're a pro, Tyler. I think you win this round. For the first time since Jason left, Emma felt seen as a whole person, not just a single mother with baggage. Alex didn't flinch at the complications. He embraced them. As Tyler yawned, signaling the end of the date, Alex leaned in. Emma, I hope this doesn't sound presumptuous, but would you and Tyler like to have dinner sometime? There's a family restaurant I know, great kids menu, coloring placemats. Emma stared at him, her hazel eyes searching his face. You want to take both of us to dinner? I can't imagine taking you without Tyler, Alex said simply. You're a package deal, and that's not a problem. It's just who you are. Tyler looked up from his drawing. Are we going to dinner with Mr. Alex? Can I get chicken nuggets? We'll see, sweetheart, Emma said, her voice thick with emotion. I hope that's a yes, Alex said gently, handing her his card. Text me? As they parted, Emma clutched Tyler's drawing of the three of them, feeling a spark of hope she hadn't dared to entertain in years. 6 months later, on a warm March afternoon in 2026, Emma stood in the kitchen of the small craftsman-style house Alex had helped her buy in Portland's quiet Selwood neighborhood. The house was modest but charming, 2 bedrooms, a sunny backyard, and hardwood floors that creaked underfoot. Emma had saved for years, but Alex's connections had secured a favorable loan, and his encouragement had given her the push to make the leap. Through the window, she watched Alex and Tyler in the backyard garden they had planted together. Tyler, now 5, was carefully watering the tomato plants with a small green watering can, his overalls covered in dirt. Alex, dressed casually in jeans and a flannel shirt, a far cry from his usual suits, knelt beside him, explaining how roots absorbed water. "See, buddy? The roots are like straws. They drink up the water and send it to the leaves." Tyler nodded seriously, his cowlick still untamed. "Like how I drink my juice?" "Exactly." Alex laughed, ruffling Tyler's hair. The walls of the kitchen were decorated with Tyler's artwork, including the very first drawing he had made of Alex that day in Cafe Luna. Alex had had it professionally framed, and it held a place of honor next to Tyler's more recent drawings, which now regularly included Alex as a permanent member of their family, often holding hands or sharing adventures. Emma's life had transformed. Her 2 jobs had become one well-paying position at Hayes Strategies, where her organizational skills shone in planning client events. She no longer worried about bills. Instead, she focused on building a future. But more than the financial stability, she had found a partner in Alex, who loved not just her, but the life she had built with Tyler. "Mama," Tyler called through the window. "Come see how big our tomatoes are getting." Emma stepped outside, the spring air fresh with the scent of blooming lilacs. Alex wrapped his arm around her waist, pulling her close. Tyler proudly pointed to a small green tomato budding on the vine. "You know," Alex said quietly, as Tyler chased a butterfly, "I used to think success was measured by profit margins and client satisfaction scores. What do you think now?" Emma asked, leaning into him. Alex looked at Tyler, who was now trying to coax the butterfly onto his finger, and then at Emma, whose face glowed with contentment in the afternoon sun. "Now, I think success is measured by moments like this, by the feeling of coming home to people who are genuinely happy to see you, by being part of something that makes everyone involved better than they were before." Tyler succeeded, the butterfly perching briefly on his hand. "Look, I think he likes me." "Of course he does," Alex said, crouching down to Tyler's level. "You're very likable." As evening approached, they prepared dinner together. Chicken nuggets for Tyler, grilled salmon for the adults. Tyler insisted on setting the table with 3 plates, 3 sets of silverware, and 3 glasses, just as he had done every night since Alex had officially moved in 2 months earlier. The routine was comforting, a symbol of their new normal. Emma often reflected on that first date, when she had been so embarrassed about bringing Tyler. The drawing he had made had been prophetic, 3 stick figures together under a smiling sun. Somehow the universe had conspired to make that hope a reality. Chapter 5. Reflections and Forever In. The quiet evenings, Emma and Alex would sit on the porch, watching Tyler play in the yard. "I never thought I'd find this," Emma confessed one night, her head on Alex's shoulder. "Someone who sees us as a gift, not a burden." Alex kissed her forehead. "You and Tyler saved me from a life of empty boardrooms. This is what matters." Tyler's drawings evolved too, now featuring adventures like family hikes or picnics. The stick figure Alex wasn't just standing nearby. He was integral, holding their hands, completing the circle. Emma had learned that true love embraces complications as part of what makes someone lovable. And in their small house, filled with laughter and crayon art, they built a family that was always meant to be. As Tyler grew, he would look back on that cafe day as the start of their story, a child's drawing turning hope into reality. For Emma, it was a reminder that the right person doesn't see love as a burden, but as a cherished gift.